All right. Chapter 18. In a pamphlet entitled Wonderful Phenomena by Curtis Eli is the report of an occurrence or an alleged occurrence that was investigated by Mr. Anderson A. Sawin, a spiritualist. He interpreted in the only way that I know of, and that is the psychochemic process of combining new data with preconceptions with which they seem to have affinity. Damn. It is said that Warwick, C.W., October 3rd, 1843, somebody named Charles Cooper heard a rumbling sound in the sky and saw a cloud under which were three human forms, perfectly white, sailing through the air above him, not higher than the treetops. It is said that the beings were angels. They were male angels. That is orthodox. The angels wafted through the air, but without motions of their own. And an interesting observation is that they seem to have belts around their bodies, as if they had been let down from a vessel above, though this poor notion is not suggested in the pamphlet. They moaned. Cooper called to some men who were laboring in another field, and they saw the cloud, but did not see the forms of living beings under it. It is said that the boy had seen the beings in the air, side by side, making a loud and mournful noise. Another person who lived 6 miles away is quoted. He saw the clouds and the persons and heard the sounds. Mr. Salwin quotes others who had seen a remarkable cloud and had heard their sounds, but had not seen the angels. He ends up, yours is the glorious hope of the resurrection of the soul. The gloriousness of it is an inverse function of the dolefulness of it. Sunday schools will not take kindly to the doctrine, be good and you will moan forever. One supposes that the glorious hope colored the whole investigation. Someday I shall publish data that led me to suspect that many appearances upon this earth that were once upon a time interpreted by theologians and demonologists, but are now supposed to be the subject matter of psychic research, were beings and objects that visited this earth, not from a spiritual existence, but from outer space. The extra geographic conditions may be spiritual or of highly attenuated matter is not my present notion, though that too may be someday accepted. Of course, all these data suffer in one way about as much distortion as they would in other ways if they had been reported by astronomers and meteorologists. As to all the material in this chapter, I take the position that perhaps there were appearances in the sky, and perhaps they were revelations of or mirages from unknown regions and conditions of outer space and spectacles of relatively nearby inhabited lands and of space travelers, but that all reports upon them were products of the assimilating of the unknown with figures and figments of the nearest familiar similarities. Another position of mine that will be found well taken is that no matter what my own interpretations or acceptances may be, they will compare favorably, so far as rationality is concerned, with orthodox explanations. There have been many assertions that phantom soldiers have been seen in the sky. For the orthodox explanation of the physicists, see Brewster's Natural Magic, page 125, a review of the phenomenon of June 23, 1744, that according to 27 witnesses, some of whom gave sworn testimony before a magistrate, whether that should be mentioned or not, troops of aerial soldiers had been seen in Scotland on and over a mountain, remaining visible 2 hours and then disappearing because of darkness. In Clark's survey of the lake, fall 1789, is an account in the words of one of the witnesses. See Notes and Queries 1-7-304. Brewster says that the scene must have been a mirage of British troops who, in anticipation of the rebellion of 1745, were secretly maneuvering upon the other side of the mountain. With a talent for clear seeing, for which we are notable, Except when it comes to some of our own explanations, we almost instantly recognize that to keep a secret from persons living upon one side of the mountain, it is a very sensible idea to go and maneuver upon the other side of the mountain. But then how to keep the secret in a thickly populated country like Scotland from persons living upon that other side of the mountain? However, there never has been an explanation that did not itself have to be explained. Or the phantom soldiers that were seen at Ujest, Silesia in 1785. See Parrish's Hallucinations and Illusions, page 309. Parrish finds that at the time of this spectacle, there were soldiers of this earth marching near Ujest, so he explains that the phantom soldiers were mirages of them. They were marching in the funeral procession of General von Kassel. But sometime later they were seen again at Ujest, and the general had been dead and buried several days, and his funeral procession disbanded, and a refraction can survive independently of its primary, so may a shadow, and anybody may take a walk where he went a week before and see some of his shadows still wandering around without him. The great neglect of these explainers is in not accounting for an astonishing preference for or specialization in marching soldiers by mirages. But if often there be in the sky things or beings that move in parallel lines, and if their betrayals be not mirages, but their shadows cast down upon the haze of this earth, or Brocken specters, such frequency or seeming specialization might be accounted for. September 27, 1846, a city in the sky of Liverpool. The apparition is said to have been a mirage of the city of Edinburgh. This identification seems to have been the product of suggestion. At the time, a panorama of Edinburgh was upon exhibition in Liverpool. Summer of 1847, see Flammarion's The Atmosphere, page 160, story told by M. Grellis, that he was traveling between Gelma and Bone when he saw, to the east of Bone, upon a gently sloping hill, a vast and beautiful city adorned with monuments, domes, and steeples. There was no resemblance to any city known to M. Grellis. In the Bull-Suck Astro de France 21-180, is an account of a spectacle that, according to 20 witnesses, was seen for 2 hours in the sky of Vanille dans la Dauphine, May 3rd, 1848, a city and an army in the sky. One supposes that Brewster would say that nearby was a terrestrial city with troops maneuvering near it. But also, vast lions were seen in the sky, and that is enough to discourage any Brewster. 4 months later, according to the London Times, September 13th, 1848, a still more discouraging or perhaps stimulating spectacle was or was not seen in Scotland. Afternoon of September 9th, 1848, Quigley's Point, Lawful, Scotland, the sky turned dark. It seemed to open. The opening looked reddish, and in the reddish area appeared a regiment of soldiers. Then came appearances that looked like war vessels under full sail. Then a man and a woman and a swan and a peahen. The opening closed, and that was the last of this shocking or ridiculous mixture that nobody but myself would record as being worth thinking about. Phantom soldiers that were seen in the sky near the Bandsmouth, December 30th, 1850. Phantom soldiers that were seen at Budrick, January 22nd, 1854. Phantom soldiers that were seen by Lord Roberts at Mohon, February 25th, 1858. It is either the Lord Roberts saw indistinctly and described in terms of the familiar to him, or that we are set back in our own motions. According to him, the figures wore Hindu costumes. Extra geography, its vistas and openings and fields, and the thoros that are upon this earth but undeveloped because they cannot find their ponds. Thoros that are upon this earth but undeveloped because they cannot find their ponds. I get that. A lonely thing and its pond afloat in space, they crossed the moon. In Cosmos NS 11-200, it is said that night of July 7th, 1857, two persons of Cambone had seen forms crossing the moon, something like a human being followed by a pond. Phantom soldiers that were seen about the year 1860 at Paderborn, Westphalia.